In this video I'll talk about equations, so hopefully by the end of this we'll know what an equation is. Now equations have lots to do with algebra, but it's basically something added to algebra, which we'll cover hopefully in this lesson and the future lessons. Now, to be able to explain what equation is, we often use a balance. Remember, a balance is simply a scale that is when we have both sides being level. So in this case, the left-hand side, is this side over here. When this side is level with the right-hand side, so RHS stands for right-hand side, which is 7 in this case. If they're both level, that means we know that whatever is on the left-hand side has to weigh exactly as much as what is on the right-hand side. Right? Now, in primary school, you would have written this as a box. Right? Why do I say box? Because here we have x. Remember, x was something unknown, and in primary school you would have just said the unknown is the box. We don't know what the box is. We can find that out though. And the box and 3 plus 3, what do they both equal to? Well, they have to equal the right hand side, which equals 7. Now this is what it would look like in primary school. We're going to add a tiny bit, something new to it in secondary, which is we're not using the box anymore. We're going to use a pronumeral instead. Now remember, the pronumeral was the unknown. We can use any type of number, but in this case we'll just use x. We can use any type of letter instead of the pronumeral. So here we're using the letter x instead of the box, and we're keeping the rest. So x plus 3 equals 7. Now this is what an equation looks like. An example of a simple one-step equation, which we'll talk about in a second. But what you need to know about equations is the following. So you need to know that an equation, let's go over here, so an equation always contains an equal sign. That's really important, right? So in both these examples, there's an equal sign, and it has to have an equal sign. Now that equal sign will separate an equation into a left-hand side, or LHS for short, and a right-hand side, right? So again, in our example over here, we have our left-hand side over here, and we have a right-hand side over here. So every equation will have a left-hand side and a right-hand side. We also know that the value of the left-hand side has to be equal to the value of the right-hand side, right? So we can check that by substitution. I'll talk about that in a future video. But we know that both the left-hand and the right-hand side have to be equal. So if we go back to our primary school example, well, there's a box plus 3 equals 7. We know the left-hand side has to be equal to the right-hand side. So we know the box must equal what? So what plus 3 makes 7? It would be 4 plus 3 makes 7. So that would be our answer. In our example, it'll be the same answer. It'll still be 4. But in this case, we wouldn't write box is 4. We would write x equals 4. Right? Because if x equals 4, if instead of x we write 4, we would get the same left hand and right hand side, because then both left hand side and right hand side would equal 7. Now also again, they usually contain both pronumerals and consonants. So remember, pronumerals were the unknown, so the x here for example, and the consonants were just any number, so the plus 3 or the 7. But we'll discuss this more in detail, but this is what you need to get out of it. You need to know an equation always has an equal sign. It divides it into left hand and right hand side. We also need to know that the value of the left hand side and right hand side have to be equal, right? So equations are always equal on both sides, and they usually contain pronumerals and consonants.